The sun was slipping behind the Texas hills, painting my ranch in a warm golden glow. It was one of those evenings when the world felt quiet enough to breathe. After months of restoring my grandfather's old houseboat, sanding every rail, repainting every inch, replacing every plank, I was finally ready to float it into my lake. Yes, my lake. 22 acres of clear, deep blue water that sat entirely inside my ranch. Not shared. Not community property. Not under some HOA's rule book. Just mine. I'd spent years dreaming about living weekends on that old houseboat. My grandfather once told me, "A lake is freedom, son." That day, I finally felt it. I guided the boat slowly across the calm surface, the water rippling softly behind me. Birds settled on tree branches, dragonflies hovered above the water, and for the first time in months, everything was peaceful. But peace doesn't last long when you have a hostile HOA for neighbors. The HOA shows up. Across the fence line, beyond the tall pecan trees, was a new luxury community, the Lakeside Bluffs, a neighborhood run by one of the most notoriously entitled HOAs in the state. Their rules covered everything from the color of your mailbox to the height of your grass. They even had a 92-page handbook just for their community lake activities. There was only one problem. Their community lake wasn't mine. My lake wasn't theirs. But HOAs don't understand boundaries, legal or personal. As soon as I floated into the center of my lake, a group of HOA board members gathered at the fence like angry geese. They waved their hands, shouted something I couldn't hear, and pointed at my boat like I'd committed a crime against humanity. I ignored them. I wasn't breaking any rules. But then I saw her. Karen, the HOA president, sunglasses bigger than her forehead, clipboard in hand, and rage in her walk. She stomped down their side of the property line, phone in hand. She dialed someone. She pointed at me again. And that's when I realized. She was calling the cops. HOA makes a false report. My phone buzzed. A number I didn't recognize. I answered. "Sir, this is Deputy Harris with the County Sheriff's Department. Are you currently operating a houseboat in the Lakeside Bluffs community lake?" I laughed. "Deputy, I'm on my private ranch. That lake is entirely on my land." There was a long pause. "Well, we received a trespassing and illegal docking complaint from the HOA." "Of course." I sighed. "You're welcome to come by. I'll be right on the water." The deputy said he was on his way. I floated back to shore and waited. Sure enough, 10 minutes later, 2 sheriff's trucks rolled up the gravel driveway. The deputy stepped out, shaking his head like he already knew this was nonsense. Behind him, the HOA marched over like an angry parade. Karen carried her clipboard like a weapon. The confrontation. Deputy Harris greeted me politely. "Mind showing me the property line, sir?" I pointed toward a metal stake by the water. "Boundary markers right there. Lake is 100% inside my land." The HOA exploded. "That lake is community property." Karen shrieked. "It clearly falls under HOA jurisdiction." Another board member yelled. "You can't put a dangerous vessel in our waters." Someone else added. Deputy Harris lifted his hand. "Calm down. We'll look at the county records." He turned to me. "You have the deed." "Inside the house," I said. I retrieved the file and handed it to him. He spread out the documents on the hood of his truck. Survey lines. Coordinates. Water rights. Everything crystal clear. The lake was mine. Deputy Harris looked up slowly. "Well," he said, "this settles it." Karen stepped forward. "What do you mean, settles it? That boat violates." "Ma'am," the deputy interrupted, "you have no jurisdiction here. This lake, shoreline, and water rights belong entirely to Mr. Carter." The HOA fell silent. Absolutely silent. Then the deputy added, "And filing a false report is a crime." Karen's jaw fell open. "This is harassment. Do it again, and the sheriff's office will take action. Am I clear?" The HOA looked like they'd just swallowed a cactus. The twist no one saw coming. But fate wasn't done with them yet. As the deputy packed up the papers, something caught his eye on the map. The survey lines. The structures. The gray-shaded area extending slightly into my water boundary. He frowned. "Sir, what is this structure here?" "That's their marina," I said casually. "The HOA built it about 5 years ago." He raised an eyebrow. Did they get your permission to build on your water? My what? He tapped the map. According to this, the left dock of the marina extends 14 feet into your lake. I blinked. Wait, what? The WA board froze. Karen's face went ghost white. Deputy Harris pulled out his radio. I need a county inspector here ASAP. 25 minutes later, the inspector arrived. He walked to the marina, took photos, checked measurements, compared documents. His face turned serious. He walked back to us. Legally, he said, this entire marina sits partially on Mr. Carter's lake boundary. That makes it an unauthorized structure on private property. Karen's voice cracked. That can't be right. This is a community marina worth $2 million. The inspector shrugged. Then you should have checked the land rights. He turned to me. Congratulations, Mr. Carter. By state property law, this marina is now yours. HOA's world collapses. The silence that followed could have drained the water from the lake. Karen looked like she was going to faint. The treasurer began mumbling about budgets. The secretary started crying softly. One of the board members whispered, "We're finished." The inspector continued, "You'll need to remove all WA signage, locks, and equipment. The marina is officially the property of the ranch owner." The deputy added firmly, "And you'll compensate him if any damage was done to his waterway." Karen covered her face with her clipboard. The WA, who just an hour earlier tried to call the cops on me, now had to hand over their $2 million luxury marina. I didn't gloat. I didn't brag. But I did walk down to the marina, stepped onto the docks, breathed in the evening air, and enjoyed the view from my brand new acquisition. A perfect ending. The sun was setting fully now, the lake glowing orange. My houseboat floated gently nearby, rocking peacefully in the calm water. The WA stood helpless on the other side of the fence as I claimed their prized marina, legally, calmly, and completely. I untied my houseboat, steered toward the brand new docks, and tied it to the slip that used to belong to the WA president herself. It felt poetic. As the first stars appeared, I leaned back on the deck, listening to the soft splash of waves against the wood. What started as WA harassment ended with me owning their $1 million marina. Sometimes, life writes better stories than fiction. And sometimes, karma arrives in the form of a houseboat. The morning started so peacefully that it was almost suspicious. Soft clouds drifted across the sky, the breeze carried the smell of cedar and fresh lake water, and my ranch, my quiet slice of heaven, sat wrapped in a calm silence. After a long and exhausting work month, I planned to spend the entire day on my newly restored houseboat. The lake behind my house wasn't just any lake. It was my private lake, a natural body of water entirely enclosed within my ranch boundaries. I owned the land, the shoreline, and every drop of the water in between. So when I floated my houseboat into the center of the lake that morning, I didn't expect drama. But drama was already walking toward me. In a pair of expensive sandals. Holding a clipboard. With a permanent frown. The WA notices the houseboat. The neighboring community, Lakeside Bluffs, was known for two things. 1. $1 million homes. 2. A notoriously overpowered WA run by people with too much free time and too little sense. They lived next to my ranch, but acted like they owned the entire planet. As I floated into the middle of the lake, I saw a group of WA board members gathering near their side of the fence. They were pointing at my boat as if they'd just spotted an alien landing. One of them whipped out a camera and started taking pictures. Another yelled something like, "You can't bring that vessel here." And then, of course, here came Karen, the WA vice president. Short hair, sunglasses, rage in her posture. She marched straight to the fence and shouted, "Sir, you are not authorized to float that houseboat on our community lake." I waved politely. "This isn't your lake. It's entirely on my property." "No," she barked. "This lake is part of our community recreation zone. It's literally inside my ranch," I replied calmly. "Check your maps. Don't you dare talk back to me." She snapped. "I know the WA rules." Of course she did. She probably slept with that rulebook under her pillow. Within seconds, she pulled out her phone and, like clockwork, started dialing. I already knew who she was calling. WA files a false complaint. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello." I answered. Sir, this is Deputy Williams from the Sheriff's Department. We received a report of an unauthorized individual operating a large houseboat inside the Lakeside Bluffs Community Lake. I rubbed my forehead. Here we go. Deputy, I'm on my private ranch lake, I said. This lake belongs entirely to me. The deputy paused. Is that correct? Absolutely. You're welcome to come confirm. We're on our way, he said. I sighed and guided the houseboat to shore. Drama-free day. No chance. Police arrive. WA starts screaming. 2 sheriff cruisers rolled up my driveway. The deputies stepped out calmly. Behind them came a full caravan of WA board members, 8 of them, marching like they were going to war. Karen pointed at me dramatically. Arrest him. He invaded our lake with that dangerous boat. Deputy Williams raised a hand. Ma'am, we'll handle this. He turned to me. Sir, can you show us where your property line is? Of course, I said. I walked them over to a steel boundary marker by the water. The deputy crouched, checked the coordinates, then pulled out a small map. Everything matched. But he wasn't done yet. Do you have the deed and survey papers? He asked. Inside the house, I replied. I returned with a folder containing every official document. The deputies spread them across the hood of their cruiser. Coordinates, water rights, survey maps, ownership certification, all clear. The deputies looked at each other. Then at me, and then at the HOA. Deputy Williams took a deep breath. Folks, this lake is not yours. It belongs entirely to Mr. Carter's ranch. The WA froze. Karen's jaw dropped so low it nearly hit her clipboard. That's impossible, she shrieked. Our map says. Ma'am, the deputy interrupted firmly, your complaint was false. This lake is not part of your jurisdiction. One board member whispered, oh no. Another one began sweating like he'd run a marathon. But things were about to get much worse for them. Deputy notices something strange. As the deputies were packing the documents, Deputy Williams frowned at the survey map. What's this structure here? He asked, tapping the shaded rectangle near the water boundary. That's their marina, I replied. Built about 4 or 5 years ago. The deputy raised an eyebrow. And did they get permission from you to build part of it on your water? I stared. Wait, what do you mean my water? The deputy angled the map so I could see clearly. The marina, worth about $2 million, was built partially inside my lake boundary. Their left dock extended almost 15 feet into my water rights. My lake, my shoreline, my property. The WA members went pale. That must be a mapping error, Karen muttered. A very expensive one, the deputy replied. He radioed the county inspector. Inspector arrives. WA trembles. 30 minutes later, a county land inspector pulled up. He walked to the marina, measured distances, checked the county records, surveyed the shoreline, then returned with an expression that spelled doom for the WA. He took off his hat and said, well, this is bad. For who? Karen demanded. For you, the inspector replied bluntly. This entire marina sits inside the ranch owner's water rights. Karen staggered backward. That's impossible. We spent $2 million. And you built it illegally, the inspector said. Without the landowner's permission. The WA board began whispering frantically. One of them groaned, this is catastrophic. Another whispered, we're done, we're so done. The inspector turned to me. Mr. Carter, by state property law, you are the legal owner of all structures built on your water boundary, whether you built them or not. Silence. Complete silence. Then he continued. This marina is yours. WA falls apart. Karen screamed. He can't own our marina. The inspector shrugged. You should have checked the land lines years ago. The treasurer clutched his head. That was our biggest investment. The secretary looked ready to faint. Deputy Williams added. You will remove all WA signage immediately. And if the marina caused environmental or property damage, you'll compensate the landowner. Karen looked like she was witnessing the end of her world. She pointed at me, shaking with rage. You set us up. I laughed. I floated a boat on my own lake. You called the cops. You tricked us. How? By existing. The WA fell into total chaos. Some yelling, some arguing, some just staring into the distance as if watching their money burn. Meanwhile, I walked to the marina. The ranch owner claims the marina. The docks were beautifully built. Polished wood, modern lighting, solar panels, a boathouse, storage lockers, everything top tier. And it was mine now. Every plank, every nail, every dollar of value. I stepped onto the dock slowly, savoring the moment. The water rippled gently. The sun warmed the wood. My houseboat drifted nearby, waiting. Behind me, the HOA watched helplessly. I turned, smiled, and said, "Thanks for the Marina." Karen threw her clipboard into the dirt. A perfect ending. That evening, I tied my houseboat to the HOA's former, private slip, now my private slip, and enjoyed a sunset that felt like victory. The lake glowed orange. The air smelled of cedar and fresh water. And the marina lights reflected beautifully across the surface. In less than 1 hour, they called the cops on me. They tried to intimidate me. They accused me of trespassing. And they ended up giving me their $2 million marina without a choice. It was poetic justice. Karma in its purest form. And as I sat on the dock, watching the stars appear, I couldn't help but smile. Sometimes, the best revenge is simply knowing the law better than the HOA.